Welcome back to Bold Assumptions Article Roundup. This week we have two articles from Science Daily. The first article is called, "In a First, Scientists Keep Brain Cells Alive in Dead Pigs." Basically what the scientists did was they went to slaughterhouses where pigs had already been decapitated. And they did this to keep it humane. They didn't want to just kill pigs on the spot. But anyways, 4 hours after the pigs had died, the scientists were able to hook them up to artificial brain fluid and blood basically, and keep the brain cells alive long after the pigs had died. And what they derived from this is the fact that, okay, maybe brain function loss doesn't have to be permanent. Maybe there's a way to bring it back or even keep brain parts alive long after people thought, you might be brain dead. The fact that the scientists want to point out is the fact that the pigs were not conscious. There wasn't enough brain activity for the pigs to be, conscious, moving around, breathing, stuff like that, because they were just a head and there was only small parts that they were able to keep alive. But in my opinion, what this opens the door for is possible Alzheimer's treatment, and the fact that you can, revive or even keep alive parts of the brain that are dying off. Basically what they say is they created this machine, in a sense, that can feed oxygen, blood, and sugar to the brain cells when they need it. And basically what happens is when people get brain damage or, high impact parts of the brain, there's huge parts that are deprived, maybe, canals are cut off that usually feed it the nutrients it needs. And basically what they want to be able to do is feed these parts that normally are cut off in high impact areas. The question I have for this is, if the cells are alive, even if the pig's not moving around breathing, I wonder if it has thoughts still. Maybe enough brain cells could have been alive to have it still have thoughts. And my question then is, if the pig had been dead for 4 hours according to this, and then all of a sudden it has thoughts, is it a new pig's conscious? Is it the same conscious? It raises a lot of weird questions about, what makes you a creature and what makes you alive. Because really, on the micro scale of things, if you think about it, humans, animals, pigs, whatever, most things that are alive usually involve a lot of living, cells, all these different tiny microbacteria, all these things in you that make you alive. So, when you're dead, there's still living things inside you. So it really rises the dilemma of when are you actually considered dead? Obviously, we consider no heartbeat to be dead. But if your brain's alive and you're still having thoughts, are you really dead? It's just a weird question that this arises. Moving on to the next article, it's titled, "What if dark matter is lighter than we thought?" Essentially, the problem right now with dark matter is that scientists have been looking all over for it and they just can't find it. And the places where they thought it would be, based on their estimations of how heavy dark matter is, they haven't been able to find it. So according to this study, they're trying to broaden their experiment and, assume that maybe it's lighter than they thought. For anyone who doesn't know what dark matter is, essentially the way I would compare it, and this is a huge metaphor that I've heard a lot of times, is that if you think about a city, let's pretend you're in a plane looking at New York City at night. You see all these lights, and that's all you see is the lights. You don't see the buildings, the people, all that. All you see is the lights. And basically our representation of the universe so far is what we can see is the lights. And what people theorize is that maybe there's buildings and people just like New York, metaphorically. So if you think about it, when you're looking into the sky, all you see is, light matter. And that's what you can see. But what you can't see, it could be the dark matter in the background, which we call it dark for a fill-in word, but essentially it's just matter you can't see. The reason why people believe this is a thing is basically because, due to our calculations and how heavy the universe is, and how massive, all that stuff, it doesn't match up with what we're observing. Basically, we're seeing less than we calculate. So either that means our calculations are wrong, or there's matter we can't see. And usually math isn't very wrong. It's pretty solid. So what people believe is, just like how when you're looking at New York City at night and all you see is the lights, maybe when you're looking into space, all you're seeing is the lights. You don't see the dark matter. So that's basically what dark matter is. According to the article, another reason why we know that it exists is because we can witness its gravitational pull on other matter. And according to this article, about 85% of our universe is dark matter. So we can only technically see about 15%, probably less, of the universe. Basically, the goal now of many scientists is to redesign the experiments they've been using to try and find dark matter in order to fit for a lighter niche. Basically, what that means is we thought it was much heavier than it is. So we were doing tests that, were fit to just heavier particles. But now we're trying to do much lighter, smaller tests, which spread over a huge amount of space could hopefully find the dark matter. Basically, according to the article, if we're able to prove that dark matter exists, and if it's smaller than protons like how they suspect, it could help us learn more about the universe and the strong force that holds it together. So basically, in the process of finding dark matter, we could find huge amounts of new subatomic particles and quantum, all these different tiny quantum bits and all that. And basically, indirectly, by finding these dark matter, if it were to help us figure out more about, the quantum world, it could open up a huge array of new things, such as quantum computing and everything and likewise. Basically, what this study shows and what it's going to show is the fact that small advancements in science can lead to huge advancements. And what I mean by that is that, as small as it may seem that, we're just going to figure out, there's dark matter out there, which we already think we know, maybe by figuring out and proving it, it can prove other things indirectly. And that's how science really works, is you got to prove one thing to prove another. And it's just a huge array of a linked chain. And the more we prove about smaller things like dark matter, the more we can learn about bigger things like quantum physics. Anyways, it's been Bold Assumptions, article roundup.